Many Americans are sitting on low interest rate mortgages and could face a decision when it is time to move, sell, or rent out their existing property. That choice could be tricky, especially for those eager to buy another home. Now, here's why I don't think it's complicated at all. If you can afford to buy another house and keep the one you have as a rental, then that's what you do.
Yeah.
You put a property manager in place, your profit and loss statement for the property, if it pens out that you are making money after all expenses, after all risk, after all liability, then it's a cash flow property in your favor, and you use your own cash and whatever else you have to amass to go buy another place where you're going to move to,
Correct.
live in that place, leave that one as rental, and you can also leave that for a child if you have that as well. So I am of the opinion that if you have the chance to move to another place, don't sell unless you have to. If you can, keep that house to rent it out, and then go get the other one. That way you now have two, and you can leave the house you're leaving for someone else in the legacy plan for your trust and your will and all that stuff.
So I actually have some clients that are they're departing their current duplex and going to be using 75% of that rental income to be able to qualify for the next purchase.
Oh, so it's actually helping to make the next leap. Oh, okay.
So the cool thing about them is that they both bought properties on their own. They both bought duplexes, and then they bought one single family residence in Idaho. And they have two duplexes here in San Diego. The one that they're going to be departing is so that they can now buy their, primary residence at the value and the, purchase price that they want. They have one, I want to say toddler, and they have another baby in the oven currently. So for them, they're utilizing, their rental income from their properties combined with their current income to then be able to purchase a property of, I think they're like in the 900 to $1 million range. But they did that strategically through setting themselves up, buying rental properties, staking in them for a year or two, and then switching them into a rental to then be able to, get that rental income. So what I did know, and I figured out was that when you're departing the property that you're going to be, exiting, you're able to use 75% of that rent. But any other rentals, you're able to use the 100% of the rents. So sometimes when the property that you're departing, if you're going to be utilizing rental income from that one, only 75%. But if you hold other rentals, you could utilize.
Yeah, what you're talking about is the vacancy factor that gets calculated into the real estate owned section of the mortgage application, right?
Yes, sir.
So 75% of the one you're vacating or leaving, but 100% of the gross income for the other ones that you have contracts for, because you have contracts for them.
Yeah.
And that is validated by the appraisal or the market analysis of those places as part of the underwriting process. So this I think in whole or in part is also part of the just the new approach to homes and to real estate. And a long time ago, it used to just be get a home, white picket fence, you die, you live, you raise your whole house there, your whole family in that home, and you die in that home.
Yeah.
That age broadly has come and gone, and the new way of holding real estate and owning real estate looks more like this. Looks more like, hey, we're gonna leave this place, go to another one, but let's just accumulate them across over the course of time, rather than just go pick up and leave that one. And what do our friends who come to Friends of Mortgage Heroes talk to us about? Even our veteran friends, Lloyd, Herb, Travis. Hey, what would you have done differently? Each of them say, when I was active duty military, I would have kept all my homes that I bought in the places I was PCS to and never sold them, versus selling them and buying another one, selling it and buying another one. They would have just accumulated. Each of them has said that or some version of that same plan when we've asked that question.
And it's tough to convey that message, at times, because, they think that, it's not in their best interest. But when we see an opportunity and we're like, hey, like, this is a genuinely good opportunity that you should probably take, you should really consider it. And I think that's, that's really the sweet spot where, a lot of people don't understand that you can accumulate, multiple properties through your VA loan as long as, you have everything played out correctly. We have a client right now that's going to has a property here in San Diego, but then their husband just got a job offer up in Pomona area. So they're going to be buying another property. So they're going to be commuting. But for that reason, they want to buy another property up there. They're like, hey, we might just rent this one out. But they're like, well, we could just keep both, turn one into a rental, and we could live over there. He commutes. I think he works on one of the bases here in San Diego. But he's like, I'm okay doing the commute as long as we're able to purchase a property up there.
I'll give you even another more further distance thing that we're having a conversation about, which is we have parents who live in Nevada, and we also have parents who live in Florida. We're like, well, both those places are affordable. Which place should we buy a place in first that is just there for us to move there and then bring them in when they need to be brought in? or just to also be able to have a place that's there when we need to go there.
Yeah.
So, that's a conversation that, we're having in our household, and it isn't because of work, it's more because of family dynamics, which again is part of why I'm saying in this article, they're saying the decision to sell your home or rent is complicated. Well, it's not. I wouldn't be changing anything here. I'd be saying, how do I add this over in Florida or Nevada and add that rather than, because I wouldn't be leaving this place still. I'd still be here.
Yeah.
I just need a place over there.
and my clients they've owned multiple properties, and now ones that they say, hey, it's been hard being a landlord. As long as you're able to get everything organized, there's plenty of support and plenty of business models in place that ensure that you're going to be able to run a smooth operation with your rentals. So,
I mean, our friend Ivan has places all over the country. He's got a ton out in Arizona. He doesn't manage them. He has someone manage them out in Arizona. My sister-in-law has places in Chicago. She has someone manage them out there. So she even has someone manage her places here, and she lives here.
And if there's really good property managers out there that not only charge the fee, but they earn their fee by bringing you somebody that could rent the property out. So it's a big tool if you're not in that present market. Like if you don't live in San Diego and you want to buy somewhere else, definitely connect with someone out there that's doing it, because it's going to let you know exactly the ins and outs, and you're going to know exactly what's happening on the ground instead of trying to do it all on yourself.
Well, we've adequately covered the why you should keep it part, but I think when I distill what would incline someone to just sell their place and leave, it's mostly going to be because they have to, or they don't want the hassle. So I can see it got both, or a combination of both reasons where, hey, I have to financially sell this place to take this equity and go buy the other one, the next one, if you will.
Yeah.
Or my situation is such that I'm going to be taking care of somebody else, or I'm going to need the care and I have to sell this place because the money is locked up, tied up in that thing. So I think part of that could be shackles financially that would require someone to sell versus rent. And then obviously just the hassle and the headache of maybe having to get a property manager involved, or so you're not the landlord.
Yeah.
I mean, there are cases, we've talked about things on this show, or stories on the show, where even younger people had said, you know what? Yeah, I made a bunch of money in real estate and I sold them all. I had over $1 million of equity that I earned through selling the properties because I don't want to have them all, and I have time freedom, and I have flexibility to go wherever I want in the world freedom and all that. So, I can see that.
And again, to each his own. Some people might not want to be a landlord. They're like, hey, I don't want anything to do with having to deal with tenants, having to deal with repairs, having to deal with this. Like, I'm okay. I lived in the house. I accumulated my equity. I want to cash out, take it to the next place, and that's just what makes sense for me.
Yeah.
And I think it just comes to the type of person that you are. You're someone that looks at real estate like it's something that you want to do, that you enjoy doing, that you want to be a landlord. Some people like to get into short-term rentals, be hosts for Airbnbs and stuff like that. So, there's different ways of skinning the cat. But if you don't have an interest in, being a host, answering calls and taking responsibility of your asset like that, then maybe park your money somewhere else, and it might not be for you. But I just think that, it really just comes down to who the person is and how they want to do their life. Yeah.
And everything else that's kind of cited in this has to do with like taxation, has to do with like, your insurance policy when you rent it out is going to be different than with your primary residence. So there's going to be more cost there. So that's all P&L stuff. So when, at the beginning of the segment, I'm talking about if it pens out in your P&L, it pens out. Like, that's what I mean. It includes all these other things in the article. If you're interested in reading this article, you're going to find the link the link in the description box below, where you can go check this out for yourself. It brings up things such as capital gains as well. Again, IRS rules. And again, I think hassle is part of this conversation for some people. And then opportunity. Like, does this even fit the financial plan? If it fits your financial plan, go do it. If it doesn't fit it, then obviously you have to figure something else out anyways. And this probably isn't even the biggest problem.
So it's crazy because one of the rental properties that our clients has, they're actually negative on it, and they're negative like $3,000.
You're talking about cash flow, or it's upside down? Like
cash flow right now.
Okay, so negative cash flow.
Negative cash flow, but down the line when they're able to refinance and bring the payment down, because they are paying at a current market rate. I believe they bought it close to 2 years ago when rates went up.
Okay.
So they're down on that one, but for them, they're like, hey, I'm looking at this in the long-term play. It's out in North Park. So for them, they know that's a very desirable area, a price that's only going to appreciate. So they're like, hey, we're okay taking the, quote-unquote L on it right now, because down the line, that's going to be something that's going to give us, tenfolds compared to what we're losing right now.
Yeah, and we'll probably take heat in this in the comments, but there is an argument to be made where if I'm going to spend $300 a month towards my savings or into an account that has interest-bearing properties to it, and I'm paying $300 out of my pocket to cover the shortage every month on the house, that house will eventually appreciate. The balance on that's eventually going to go down. That'll eventually flip when rent gets when it turns over, and the rent becomes more than the cost.
Yep.
There's that factor. So I'm not necessarily mad about that. I can't stand 100% in defense of it, because if they're struggling and they're failing in life financially, then no, you should not be doing that. But
No.
if you are saying, hey, yeah, I can float for $300 a month, and by doing so, I still own this place, I'm not in any risk of it being like NOD, notice of default, and then foreclosing, then, do it to your heart's content.
Yeah.
You still own a place. Someone is paying the majority of it, the lion's share, and you're paying $300 out of pocket. If you're saving $300 a month in retirement or $300 a month in cash, whatever, you're already saving it in one fashion or another. Just a different one.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
All right.